Things like this usually don't happen in a community like ours. It's very tragic.
Investigators release autopsy reports today for 8 members of an Ohio family killed execution style.
We begin tonight with a deadline that has passed for the mother of 2 missing children from Rexburg.
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda, and on this channel we talk about all things true crime related. In today's video, we are going to be discussing a case that is actually headed to trial today, well, jury selection, today, October 6th. But I can remember when this case actually broke back in May of 2021. It was everywhere. I mean, everywhere. It seemed like everybody was talking about it, and it's just wild to think that so much time has passed and we're finally here. Just a quick reminder though, I'm no expert in this case. I do my best to gather all the details and share accurate information, but if you think there's a detail I missed, please feel free to drop it below. And before we get into it, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're making our way to 1,000 subscribers, and every little bit of support helps. I am recording this at like a random time. I'm trying to get my kids on the bus. I have to work today. I have homework to do tonight. I want to get this out as soon as possible, so I'm recording it. You may see me later in a different setting or something. I may have to get her on the bus and then come back. We'll see how it goes. But I do have to say, one more thing I am trying is I'm trying to be more mindful of the language I'm using on YouTube. So you may hear me say the M word or swap out other words that I know the platform doesn't love. This is common with content creators. It's just hard when talking to remember to do that. And I hate doing that for my podcast people, but YouTube, it seems like, is really hating on some of my videos. But let's get into today's video. So for this case, we are headed to Dallas, Texas, and we need to go back to May 15th, 2021. At the time, Cash Gernon and his twin brother were staying with a woman named Monica Sherrard. Reports say that Monica dated the twins' father at one point. He moved in, from what I heard, was February of 2021, but then in March of 2021, he ended up fleeing due to having to report to court. He didn't, from what I heard, he was scared to go to court because he heard he had to go to jail before he was transferred to a rehab facility waiting for a bed, and he didn't like that, so he went on the run. But he left Cash and his twin brother in Monica's care around March of 2021. So around 7 a.m. on May 15th, a 911 call came in reporting the body of a small boy laying in the road on Saddle Ridge Drive. When officers arrived, they found him laying in a pool of blood with multiple wounds. He wasn't wearing any shirt or shoes. It wasn't until about 4 hours later when 4-year-old Cash was reported missing after Monica called 911. So Monica had surveillance video from inside the home that showed the kidnapping. In this footage, a person could be seen coming into view on camera around 5 a.m. as he walked into the boy's room. It looks like he stops for a moment in front of their crib, and then he stands there staring at them before he moves closer and closer. You can see that he leans over the bed, and for those listening rather than watching, the boys, it looks like they're not necessarily in like a crib, but it's one of those like crib conversion beds. The front is open, so he just bends over, picks up Cash, and walks out of the frame. Now, there was reportedly a second video showing the same man returning to the home around 7:30 a.m., but it appears he was startled and run off. By that point, Cash had already been deceased and found. Remember, this was at 7:30 in the morning that the man came back into the home. Police would later say that they believed the man would return to the home to take Cash's brother, but got spooked for some reason and fled. Investigators would learn from Monica, who would identify the man as Darriynn Brown or Darriynn Brown. I've heard reported for both sayings. It looks like Darriynn to me, but we're just going to call him Brown. She would make it clear to police, though, that even though she knew who he wasn't invited into her home and he had no reason to be there. Reportedly, Brown lived in the same neighborhood as Monica Sherrard. Her son would later tell reporters that he knew Brown from the area and the two had gone to school together but weren't friends, and as I said, he did not have permission to enter their home. Brown was arrested later that same day on kidnapping and burglary charges. Police searched his home and collected some items to be tested. In an interview with local news, Monica's son would tell how close he was with Cash, saying that the little boy loved playing superheroes and often thought of himself as Iron Man. Neighbors in the area were understandably upset. After Brown's arrest, it came out that people in the neighborhood had actually called the police on Brown multiple times before he was arrested. He had reportedly been seen, or at least he appeared to be seen on video camera about a month earlier in April of 2021 trying to break into cars. In another clearer image, Brown could be seen breaking a home surveillance camera. He'd even be spotted lurking around Monica's home in the weeks leading up to Cash's kidnapping. It also appeared at the time of the kidnapping, Brown was actually out on bond for evading arrest. Police reportedly got a call on April 22nd about a suspicious person sitting inside a car in the Redbird area. A records check would show that the car he was sitting in was stolen, and when officers would approach the car to make contact, Brown took off on foot, running from the vehicle and trying to get away. Police eventually caught up to him. They would find a small amount of marijuana on him, but it wasn't enough to charge him with possession. So when they took him into custody, the only charge filed at that time was evading arrest for running from the police. I'm not sure why he wasn't charged with that stolen vehicle. I didn't see anything come out of that, but just the evading arrest part. As news broke about Brown's arrest for the kidnapping, we also started to hear about another disturbing incident that took place just a few months prior in February of 2021. According to some court documents, on February 8th, 2021, around 11:30 a.m., who would later be identified as Brown, was arrested after he entered the home of a 70-year-old man. Brown told the man as he entered that he was looking for his girlfriend, and he started going through the rooms and closets of this man's house looking for his girlfriend. The homeowner told him that his girlfriend wasn't there and demanded that Brown leave immediately. Brown reportedly refused, saying he wasn't going anywhere until he found his girlfriend. So the homeowner would go and grab a knife and push, or basically force, Brown outside through the garage. However, once Brown started exiting the garage, the man shut the interior door between the house and the garage. And at that point, Brown would come back in and start banging and kicking on the door, causing damage to it. So the homeowner opened the door again to see what was going on, basically. Brown re-entered and punched him on the forehead. Brown walked past him into the living room, basically, I guess, looking for his girlfriend, as Brown said. When the man's 2-year-old granddaughter was sleeping on the couch, Brown picked up that 2-year-old granddaughter and started walking towards the laundry room with her. So the homeowner, obviously fearing that Brown was trying to leave with his granddaughter, removed his granddaughter from Brown, placing his granddaughter back on the couch and confronting Brown, like, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" Brown would actually punch him again and then flee out the back door. When police arrived, the homeowner said he didn't want to press charges, so police would actually just file a no offense report. However, they determined that Brown was a danger to himself or others, so they took him into custody. Police later interviewed the homeowner again on May 18th, 2021, after Cash's kidnapping and killing, and he was told that he actually ran into Brown a few weeks after the incident at a local Walmart, where Brown apologized for breaking into his house and trying to take his grandchild. Now, when police looked into this again after Cash's death, they would end up pressing charges, including injury to a child or elderly person and an additional burglary charge, which, according to local news reports, are first-degree felonies and can be punishable by life in prison. So we have a lot going on with Brown. We have the February 2021 incident where he was trying to break into this old man's house. We have in April, he reportedly was seen trying to break into some cars. He broke someone's surveillance camera, and then he went on that foot chase with the police. Seems like these behaviors are increasing, and he's not being charged for them. If you happen to know why he wasn't charged for them, or if there's any other case information you know, again, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. At his bond hearing, Brown was held on $1.6 million bond, so at least then, thankfully, he was off the streets. On May 28, 2021, the Dallas County Medical Examiner's Office officially ruled Cash's death as a homicide. On June 1st, Brown's attorney told local news outlets that his client was not guilty and that Brown suffered from schizophrenia. He also said that Brown had been released from a mental health facility shortly before his arrest, and that he would be undergoing a mental evaluation to see if he was competent. While this evaluation did take some time, investigators began to receive the evidence results back from the items collected at Brown's home. According to court documents, DNA and surveillance video show Brown kidnapping Cash, carrying him to a nearby walking trail and stabbing him in the chest, killing him. The documents go on to say that Brown then brought the child's remains back to the public street before he left him there. Investigators also reported that a black Adidas hoodie, black tennis shoes, and black sunglasses collected from Brown's home all tested positive for Cash's blood. Finally, on June 9th, capital M charges were officially filed against Darriynn Brown for Cash's death. In February of 2022, Brown was deemed incompetent to stand trial, and he was ordered to be transferred to a state facility for treatment, where he remained for quite some time. It wasn't until documents filed in December of 2024 that doctors stated Brown's mental health had been restored and he was officially deemed fit for trial in January of 2025. Since about June 2021, there really hasn't been too many articles on this. Like I said, it was everywhere in the beginning, but following that, it kind of got a little less, and then I didn't really see anything until his competency was restored in January of 2025. I did see that maybe there was some mention of an April 28th trial, but that doesn't appear to have taken place. Court TV recently reported that the trial is now expected to start today, like I said, October 6th, with jury selection starting. While reading through the court filings, I did see that the defense filed a motion on March 31st, 2025, stating their intent to raise the insanity defense. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Brown is currently 22 years old, and he's facing charges of capital M, kidnapping, and burglary. But I will definitely keep you guys updated as we learn more about this and the trial moves forward. Alright guys, I just wanted to jump in real fast to give a quick update. Court TV reported that Darriynn Brown pled guilty this morning right before his trial was set to start. He's been sentenced to life in prison. I didn't get too many details about it since Court TV seems to be the only news source reporting on it right now, but if more comes out, I'll definitely make sure to let you guys know. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Thanks for being here with me. Until next time, stay safe out there. The world's an ugly place.